For many of us, animals hold a special place in our hearts at Christmas time. From the sheep and donkeys gathering around the manger in Bethlehem to household pets and that most Christmassy animal of all, the reindeer, they bring a sense of magical wonder to the holiday. Hi, I'm Basha, and in this fourth and final episode of our series on magical realism in Christmas movies, we're going to be taking a look at the role that these magical animals play in granting Christmas wishes and bringing families closer together. In The Great Rupert, starring Jimmy Durante, Terry Moore, and Tom Drake, the magical animal is a trained squirrel who works behind the scenes to spread Christmas cheer and goodwill, and most of all, to spread the spirit of giving. The Amendola family are out-of-work circus folk who can't even afford to pay the rent on the dilapidated basement apartment they just moved into.
Moving from one place to another, always moving, never having a place to call our home. Believe me, Lord, we've tried so hard. But it's so difficult to find a job for a human pyramid.
And as Christmas approaches, she can't even provide the bare necessities, much less frivolous presents.
Tomorrow's Christmas. We haven't even got a tree. No money to buy some little gifts. Not even a pair of shoes for Rosalinda.
And as if in answer to her prayer,
Thank you. Thank you.
so it looks like they'll have a wonderful Christmas after all.
But I don't understand. A tree.
A turkey and cranberry sauce and plum pudding and candy and nuts and look, brand new shoes.
How do they put their good fortune to use? At first, they do indulge themselves with a few luxuries, but they don't keep it all to themselves. And within a week, they seem to be back where they started.
We must stop buying things. That $500 you have left has got to last.
I'm glad you brought that up. You know that Mr. Byfield, you know something? He isn't doing so well.
Our last $500. Oh, Papa, whenever we get a little ahead, you'll meet someone who's in trouble and you just melt like chocolate in a baby's hand.
This scene gives us a clear idea of who Papa Amendola is, because he's never been a wealthy man, but his is a generosity of spirit that can't see someone in need without extending a helping hand. And the money keeps flowing in. Every Thursday at 3:30, Mama sits down to pray, and her prayers are answered every time. Of course, in 1950, $1,500 was a lot of money, more than a family of three could easily spend. And so, Mr. Amendola continues to help people out, and his generosity brings them many happy returns.
Here's your present cake, Mr. Amendola. Oh, and here's a check. Your share of all profits for this month.
You cast your dough upon the waters, it circulates, and it comes back strawberry shortcake.
But his philanthropy soon starts attracting the wrong kind of attention.
The guy doesn't work. It don't add up. Where does he get the money?
You know what I think? He's printing his own money right there in that shack of yours, Mr. Dingle.
I just heard from a friend of mine that Amendola is a big gangster in hiding.
And before you know it, it comes to the attention of the authorities.
Bureau of Internal Revenue. May I come in?
Now, all we need is the FBI.
Callahan, FBI.
We're a little curious, Mr. Amendola, to know where the money's coming from.
Papa makes up all kinds of fanciful explanation, but the feds aren't buying it. So finally, they tell them the truth.
It comes straight from heaven. $1,500 every week.
Naturally, they want proof.
She can't do it today. The miracle happens on Thursday, between 3 and 3:30.
By now, you're probably wondering, where did the money come from? Well, it seems that their landlord, Mr. Dingle, had a stroke of good fortune the previous Christmas.
Here's a check for $1,500, and they say we're going to get the same amount each week from now on.
It's the day before Christmas, too, Frank. It's money from heaven.
And here we see the stark contrast in the way different people handle good fortune. Frank Dingle is not endowed with the same spirit of generosity as Mr. Amendola and decides to hide the cash in the house. And because Mr. Dingle's been cashing his check at the same time every week, the squirrel cleans house at that same time, and the Amendolas are assured of a regularly scheduled windfall. So it should be a cinch to prove to the authorities that the money falls from heaven.
It's almost time to pray.
But there's just one little hiccup.
We are sorry to inform you that our gold mine is exhausted. There'll be no more checks in.
So the Amendolas are in for a bit of a disappointment.
Let's get going, Amendola. It's almost 3:30.
But the money is not forthcoming.
I guess you're right, Mama. It seems the miracle is over.
And in that moment, Mr. Amendola becomes the unwitting agent of even further misfortune for their landlord.
I'm moving out of this shack the first thing tomorrow morning. Now even my cigarettes don't come down. Help! Help! No, I gotta get the money. Forget the money is in the hole behind the bed.
When it seems that all is lost, the Amendolas finally catch on to where the money's been coming from.
Thousands of dollars burning right now. He put in the hole behind his bed.
Every Thursday, $1,500. Now it's all gone.
Rosalinda needs shoes, huh?
So, true to his nature and without divulging his secret, Papa finds a way to make it right with Mr. Dingle.
I'll rebuild the house. It'll be better than new. You will?
I don't know what to say.
And what happened to the squirrel?
What'd you find?
Nothing but a dead squirrel.
Why, he isn't dead. He's just overcome by smoke. All he needs is a little fresh air.
But where did the squirrel come from in the first place? Well, he's not just any old squirrel. He's the great Rupert, part of a circus act with the Amendolas' old friend, Joe Mahoney. He was the previous tenant in the Amendolas' apartment and had turned Rupert loose when he was down on his luck. But now that things are looking up, he comes looking for Rupert again.
Oh, I've got good news for you. I got a job with the circus. We start in 2 weeks in Hoboken. Me and 2 seals.
Did Rupert know what he was doing? Hard to say. He was an awfully smart squirrel. As Joe Mahoney said, almost human. But one thing's for sure. If Rupert hadn't intervened, all that money would have gone up in smoke. But in Mr. Amendola's hands, it went out into the world to help those in need and came back to him many times over, and even helped Mr. Dingle recoup his losses. So how's that for a Christmas miracle? In the 1948 movie 10th Avenue Angels, starring my all-time favorite child actress Margaret O'Brien, the miracles are brought about by an unlikely duo, a mouse and a cow. This movie is about the little white lies that we sometimes tell children, either to protect them from harsh realities or to indulge their sense of fantasy and wonder. It all starts when 10-year-old Flavia's mother tells her a little white lie about mice.
A mouse! Why, darling? They couldn't hurt you, but they bring good luck. How do they bring good luck? Oh, like turning into money.
Flavia takes her mother's word to heart, and because she wants to buy a very special gift for a good friend, she gets right to work putting her mother's theory to the test.
Now you be a good little mouse and turn into lots of money. I'm going to give you plenty of time, 3 whole days. Bye.
But as luck would have it, Flavia is not the only one who knows about this hiding place.
Come on, we better hide this till morning. A mouse!
So when she checks on her mouse's progress 3 days later, she has a nice surprise.
Jiminy Doodlebug, just like my mother said.
And she sets to work trapping more mice because the gift she has in mind for her Uncle Steve, a new taxicab, is going to cost a lot of money.
What on earth is she going to do with all the cigar boxes?
But of course the money didn't come from the mouse.
Hey, there's big excitement out the corner. Somebody robbed old Mac. He had all his money in a cigar box and somebody swiped it.
Cigar box? Flavia, what was in that cigar box you put in there?
Money.
Where'd you get this money, Flavia?
The mouse gave it to me.
Mouse?
Yes, and it turned into money.
Where did you get the money?
In the cigar box where I kept my mouse. In the hole in the wall in the alley.
So now it's clear to everyone except Flavia how Mac's money got in the cigar box.
Look, darling, all that talk about the mouse turning into money, that's just make-believe. Mice don't turn into money.
Mommy, you said that they did.
Oh, darling, that was just something I said. I didn't want you to be afraid.
To Flavia, who's always believed everything her mother has told her, this revelation comes as a complete shock.
Mother, answer me truthfully, yes or no. Cats, they don't always have 9 lives, do they? When you wish on a star, it doesn't always come true, does it?
No, Flavia.
Did everything you...
She returns the money to Mac, but she can't come to grips with the fact that her mother hasn't been completely truthful with her.
I don't care who took the money. I don't care anything about it, except that my mother told me that mice turn into money, and they don't.
Meanwhile, her mother has some good news for her.
We're going to have a baby, Flavia.
But it's a risky pregnancy.
Mrs. Mills, there's nothing really wrong, and there needn't be. But you'll have to stay absolutely quiet for these next few weeks. Absolute rest. We don't want to take any chances on losing the baby. Flavia? Have that prescription filled, Flavia.
You'll find the money in the teapot, Flavia.
They just knocked my bank off.
And in spite of everything that's just happened, Flavia's mother just can't help spinning another fanciful yarn.
Oh, look, darling, the little cow isn't really broken. She's just kneeling, getting ready for Christmas. All over the world, cows kneel on Christmas Eve.
But Flavia calls her on it.
Mama.
Yes, dear.
Did you ever see a cow kneel?
No, not really, darling.
Then it isn't true.
And in the meantime, Flavia had been doing a little investigating on her own and had discovered a lie that was even more devastating to her than the other fairy tales that her mother had been telling her.
Flavia, what's the matter?
Steve didn't go around the world like you all told me.
No, he didn't.
He was in prison.
Yes, he was. Sometimes, darling, for a person's own good, you don't exactly tell all the truth.
But Flavia can't accept this explanation and can't reconcile her mother's words with her actions. It seems that only a miracle could restore her faith in her mother, and she's going to need to find that miracle a lot sooner than she thinks.
But you said over 100 times, the truth is the truth, and anything else is a lie, and there's nothing in between. I don't know who to believe. I don't know what to believe. Everybody lies to me.
Flavia. Flavia! Flavia, come back! Flavia!
We at least saved the baby, but only a miracle can save the mother.
When she hears this, she remembers her mother's words when she'd broken her cow-shaped piggy bank. And I think it speaks to the resilience of childhood, as well to the blind faith that children tend to have in their parents, that even though her mother has admitted that she made up the story about cows kneeling at Christmas, when Flavia really needs a miracle, she throws herself wholeheartedly into a search for one based on the little white lie that her mother told her. She runs out to the stockyards in search of a cow and runs into Steve, but Steve knows how upset Flavia was about the stories her mother had told her, and he tries to prepare her for disappointment.
Do you remember the time when the mouse was supposed to turn into money and didn't? This is a story just like that, honey, and...
Oh, no, Steve, this has got to be true.
And it does seem like she'll be disappointed.
Oh, Steve, it isn't kneeling.
But then the first miracle happens.
I can't see you, but I know you're close. I've been a very bad girl. I didn't believe. Now I saw. You made the cow kneel to show me.
And how like a child to take on responsibility for the bad things that happen to people around them. She really believes that her lack of faith in her mother brought on the accident. And in a way it did, because her mother went against doctor's orders to go and try to win her daughter's favor back. But Flavia interprets that as a punishment for her disbelief.
Make my mama live. Only you can. It'll be only one more miracle.
And her mother is still alive and on the road to recovery when she returns home, the second miracle of the night. Of course, the question of how truthful we should be with our children is more than we can tackle here, and it's the subject of more than one Christmas movie. Miracle on 34th Street comes to mind. But this movie does seem to suggest that at least some children may be more capable of handling difficult truths than we give them credit for. And of course, the issue of unquestioning faith in what our parents tells us is one that does come up in real life at Christmas time, mostly because of the whole Santa Claus conundrum. Because learning that your parents have told you something that wasn't true can be devastating for more sensitive children, especially if their parents have made a big deal about honesty at all costs. Although, to tell you the truth, I don't personally remember being bothered by finding out that Santa Claus wasn't real. In fact, knowing me, if anything, My disappointment wouldn't have been with my parents for making up stories about Santa Claus, but with Santa Claus himself for not really existing. But you can't win for losing, because if we don't imbue childhood with a little fantasy, what happens to the wonder of childhood and the belief that anything is possible? I think that sense of optimism that carries us through life's most difficult moments and helps us dream big dreams and believe in our ability to make those dreams come true, that optimism has its roots in the fantasies of our childhoods. What do you think? And as we'll see in our next movie, sometimes that fantasy world can provide a much-needed refuge for children who have to deal with difficult circumstances in their young lives. In the 1989 movie Prancer, starring Rebecca Harold Tickle and Sam Elliott, 10-year-old Jessica is facing her first Christmas without her mother, while her widowed father is struggling to keep the family farm afloat and provide for his children.
It's not easy on me either. I think I like not being able to provide for her.
You do provide.
No, I don't.
Meanwhile, Jessica's throwing herself into her favorite holiday with a hint of magical things to come.
There's gonna be a full moon this Christmas. That means there's bound to be magic things happening.
That tells us something about Jessica. She's always looking for signs and imbuing everything with significance.
Oh, look, Santa's reindeer. Now, Dasher, now, Dancer, now...
So when she finds a reindeer in the woods, she assumes it's one of Santa's reindeer, Prancer, the reindeer that had fallen from the Christmas display.
You're not afraid of me.
She tells her friend Carol about it, but Carol doesn't play along with Jessie's fantasy because she says she doesn't believe in Santa anymore because she's never seen him. And Jessie responds to that with a logic of her own.
We've never seen God either. Does that mean there's no God?
But her argument doesn't have the intended effect.
Well, how do we know about that for sure? Because if there's no God, there's no heaven. Huh? Maybe there isn't.
This is not something that Jessie is prepared to hear, and for good reason.
You're not my friend anymore. What did I say? That there was no heaven. So, what about my mother then?
And this is why Christmas is so important to Jessica, because her link with the unknown and the unknowable is so vital to her belief that her mother is still out there somewhere. And because her mother also loved Christmas, all the magic surrounding the holiday is her strongest link with her mother. And as if this weren't enough for her to have on her plate this Christmas, her dad is planning something with Jessica's Aunt Sarah that's going to disrupt her life even more.
You know, it's just not right when a little girl's got to grow up without a mom around. We've been talking about maybe you going to live with her.
No, Daddy, please, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I know you don't. This is a hard thing for me to do, but I got to think about what's best for you.
Just then, the reindeer makes its second appearance.
Dad, look out! It's him!
Wait, stay here.
He's hurt, Daddy.
Stay away from him.
I gotta help him. Daddy, no!
He's hurt. Jesse, he's just gonna suffer.
This is the moment where two opposing forces come together. Prancer, symbolizing Jessica's connection with her mother, and Jessie's father, symbolizing a threat to that connection. And Prancer shows up symbolically in her dreams that night. The reindeer in the dream reflects Jessica's fear of everything warm and familiar in her life falling away. First her mother, then the beliefs that help her hold her mother near even in death, and now even what's left of her home and family life. And so when she finds the reindeer in the barn that same night, it must seem like a chance to hold on to everything that she feels she's losing. Like if she can just manage to save Prancer, as she's coming to call him, then maybe she can overcome the pain of having been powerless to save her mother.
I gotta get you out of here. Dad'll shoot you if he sees you.
And Dad seems to have been cast in the role of bad guy all around. He and Jessie are constantly butting heads.
Your head's always off in the clouds somewhere. You don't just show up for school when you feel like it.
Meanwhile, Prancer's wounds are getting worse and worse, so Jessie tries to get Doc Benton, the local vet, to come and see him. But when he sees that the animal in need of help is not a barnyard animal like he'd expected, he doesn't want to get involved, no matter how insistently Jessica pleads.
Probably couldn't help him anyways. Doctors are just liars. They never make anyone better.
Yet another way that the loss of her mother has colored her perspective. But that seems to get to the good doctor, and he finally relents.
Is he gonna be okay?
Too soon to tell. Should take a while to heal.
With Prancer on the mend, Jessica has a plan for getting him back to Santa.
I know you're not the real Santa. Can you get this letter to him? Prancer's in the shed near my house. I plan to take him to Antler Ridge on December 23rd midnight.
In spite of Jessica's best efforts to keep Prancer a secret, the word does get out somehow and her good deed is written up in the local paper, and the minister reads the editorial aloud in church.
We have someone very special in our congregation this morning. Yes, Santa, there are still Virginias in this world. We have one right here in Three Oaks. She's nursing the spirit of Christmas back to health, the same way as she's nursed your missing reindeer back to health.
And here's where he puts the nail in Jessica's coffin, so to speak.
Three Oaks is in good hands, as long as we have children like Jessica Riggs.
Although Jessica's dad wasn't at the service, he soon finds out about Prancer because the whole town converges on the barn to see him. Jessica's dad is about to shoot Prancer, but instead sells him to Mr. Dyer.
Mr. Dyer? The butcher? Daddy, he'll eat him!
No, he won't.
Mom would have never done this. I'll shoot her instead of you!
When she goes to find Prancer, she finds out that he hasn't been butchered. He's just been put on display to attract customers.
Prancer, you're alive.
I saved his life. Now he's my best salesman. Aren't you, fella?
And so she hatches a plan to spring Prancer and run away from home at the same time so she doesn't have to go and live with Aunt Sarah. And her older brother goes along to help.
Prancer, come on!
But she runs into a little trouble.
Stay put! I'm coming up! Jesse! Jesse!
I know the x-rays turned out all right, but she's still not feeling well. She don't want to get out of bed. She don't want to play her Christmas records. No, you don't understand. My daughter plays Christmas records all year.
In fact, her whole attitude about Prancer seems to have changed too.
Tomorrow, when your uncle and I come over for Christmas dinner, we'll all get bundled up and we'll go and see Prancer.
I don't want to see that deer anymore. Dad's right. I'm almost 9 years old. Time I grew up a little.
But Dad seems to be having a change of heart as well.
But I've been thinking, maybe we could do some of the things we used to do on other Christmases.
And instead of being at each other's throats for a change, they have a nice heart-to-heart that brings them closer together.
I didn't really want to run away. I just want you to find me and bring me back here and tell me things were going to be okay.
When you were gone last night, I saw what it'd be like around here not to have you around. You're home, honey, and that's where you're going to stay.
And he surprises her with the news that he bought Prancer back from the butcher and is going to help her return him to Santa. And Jessica has the opportunity to say a very heartfelt goodbye to Prancer.
I wish I could keep you for just my own. I'll always remember you. Thanks, Prancer, for everything. Where'd he go?
I don't know. He just disappeared.
He couldn't have jumped and lived.
And Dad finally seems to get how much Jessie needs her fantasy world right now to deal with her pain. And so he joins her in that fantasy world.
Maybe he flew. This would be a good place for Santa to come and get him.
The moon is full.
And it is Christmas Eve. Listen. Maybe he'll hear his bells.
Prancer, goodbye. Remember me?
Did Prancer really fly off with Santa in his sleigh? I like to think so, but either way, I think this movie shows the value of at least a little magical thinking for children to help them cope with circumstances beyond their control, circumstances that are just too big to handle in any other way. This movie was remade in 2022 and renamed Prancer: A Christmas Tale. It stars James Cromwell and Darcy Everett and puts a different spin on the story. In this version, it's the adult who believes in magic and has to convince the child. And once again, Prancer brings the family closer together in an unexpected way. 10-year-old Gloria lives in London. Her father's a musician and is away on tour a lot. She's looking forward to seeing him for Christmas, but she has to make do with this brief phone message instead.
Hey, love. Just a quick message to say hi. I'm sure you're getting excited for Christmas, yeah? You better talk to your mum. Yeah, she knows the plans. Come in! I've got to go, Gloria. I'll see you when this bloody tour's over, darling.
At the same time, her granddad, who lives in the States, is making some difficult decisions this Christmas. He's decided to close down the hardware store, Bob and Bet's, that he and his wife had run for many years, a place that had become a community gathering place.
Well, Bet, it's done.
And this is where the reindeer chooses to enter his life.
Where'd he come from?
The circumstances of this first sighting are significant because it implies that there's some connection between the reindeer and Bob's deceased wife, perhaps some message that she hopes to convey to him through the reindeer. And later that night, the reindeer shows up again.
Put up the reindeer display. Huh? Where'd you go?
We find out later that this place is also significant because the reindeer display is something that Bob and Bet had made together, so she's still trying to call his attention to something. When Gloria's mom, Bob and Bet's daughter, hears about the accident, she takes Gloria to visit for Christmas, but Gloria has only met her granddad a couple of times and remembers him as being kind of scary. But shortly after she arrives, they start bonding tentatively when the reindeer shows up again, because now they share a secret.
Reindeer tracks.
Hey, love. Just a quick message to say hi. I'm sure you...
Reindeer don't live anywhere around these parts.
So then why?
Why is this one here? That's what I mean to find out.
So Granddad is approaching this whole thing as a mystery that he needs to solve. Meanwhile, the reindeer makes a couple more unexpected visits.
Hey, get out of here! Jeez.
How did that deer get inside of my locked store?
Granddad thinks there's something significant about the reindeer showing up at the store, especially while they're repairing the broken reindeer ornament. But Gloria doesn't exactly share his magical views.
Well, you scared Prancer off.
Oh, so he's Prancer now, is he? There's got to be some logical explanation.
Oh, yeah. One of them being Prancer's magical.
Prancer is not magical. Smart, yes. Magical, no.
And then he flew right over my truck.
He must have just jumped.
Nope, he never came back down.
Come on, Grandad.
Think I'm crazy?
Yes! I think you've lost the plot.
And Gloria's not the only one who thinks that Granddad is losing it. Even though he doesn't know about the reindeer yet, her Uncle Gerald thinks it might be time to start making other arrangements for Granddad.
I heard Uncle Gerald talking to my mum. He thinks she should go live in a retirement home.
Right. Gerald finds out about that deer. That's grist for his retirement home push.
Oh, no, he won't find out about the deer. This is our secret.
But Uncle Gerald seems to be moving forward without even having discussed the matter with Granddad.
Wait, you saying Finn Wally wants to buy this house? I can't believe you're even considering this.
I want to buy your house, old man. Figured with the store closing, you'd be off to some old age home.
This is very similar to the first Prancer movie, where Jessica's dad and Aunt Sarah came to a decision about moving her in with Aunt Sarah without involving Jessica in the decision-making process. It seems that the very young and the very old often face the same types of problems when it comes to family and issues of autonomy. And both Gloria and Granddad get into hot water when Gerald discovers them in the woods with Prancer one night.
You want me to follow you?
Gloria? What's going on? Why didn't you wake me?
Oh, Prancer came to the house. He wanted to show me something.
Just now, I found these two in the woods conversing with a reindeer.
And now, Gerald is more determined than ever to get Granddad into the retirement village. Meanwhile, Granddad thinks he may have solved the mystery.
I think I know why Prancer is here. He wants me to keep the store open. Maybe there's some kind of connection between Prancer and Bet.
The reason he thinks this is because it was Bet, Gloria's grandmother, who had the idea of opening Curmudgeon Corner, a little corner of the hardware store for older people to gather and have a free cup of coffee. And this corner, which Bob and Bet had created together, had become a community hub, and it would also be going away if he closed the store. So, once he's made this connection, he tries to get Gerald to look at the books and help him figure out a way to keep the store open.
Dad, no. Closing the store is absolutely the right thing to do.
Why? So you can ship me off to Pine Grove?
Meanwhile, things aren't looking so good for Gloria either.
Everything you warned me about Todd, it came true. Oh, he moved out months ago. Gloria thinks we're still gonna get back together, but that is not gonna happen.
But Gloria is still unaware of this development and is completely caught up in her reindeer adventure. Her main concern right now seems to be keeping Granddad out of trouble. So when she finds him setting off on the snowmobile for a rendezvous with Prancer, she goes with him at the risk of getting herself into even bigger trouble than she's already in.
Hold on tight, you hear?
Granddad, over there! Faster, faster! Over there!
And Prancer leads them right down Main Street. It's very clear now that his message has something to do with that hardware store.
Hold on, are you seeing what I'm seeing?
I sure am.
It's magic, Granddad.
Hold on, Victoria! No, oh, no, please, God.
And if his children weren't convinced that he belonged in a retirement village before, they are now.
Gloria?
Oh, you've really gone off the deep end this time,
Gloria?
Dad.
No, you are the last person I want to see right now, Dad.
But Gloria wasn't seriously hurt, and now she's convinced that there's something special about Prancer too.
That deer is magical, and why is nobody listening to me?
Unfortunately, Granddad has had a change of heart too.
The store is closing after Christmas. You all are leaving, and I'm probably headed off to Pine Grove. Your mother was right, you know. You could have been hurt real bad last night. I don't want to hear another word about that deer.
So, in an attempt to get him excited about keeping the store open again, she gets together with her cousins and makes a video that she posts on social media.
Enjoy. Hey guys, we've got a very important announcement to make.
Betty and Bud's hardware store is not closing.
Come to the store today and meet the real Prancer.
Meanwhile, Uncle Gerald has a change of heart too. He figures out a way for Granddad to keep the store open, and
as far as the retirement home goes, Claire and I have been talking, and we're going to work something out so you can stay here.
the something they've worked out is that Gloria and her mom are going to come live with him. That does a lot to raise Granddad's spirits, and he doesn't even know about the surprise that Gloria has planned for him. But even though a lot of people showed up at the hardware store to see Prancer, there's just one or two little problems.
None of the lights are working, Prancer's nowhere to be seen, and nothing is going according as I planned. If Granddad was here, all these people are here for him.
Fix it! Damn fox!
But when Granddad shows up, everything falls into place.
Granddad, you can!
So in the end, Gloria loses a dad and gains a granddad, which is a pretty good deal when you consider that her rock star father was so absent that he didn't even bother to visit her when he was in London. And Prancer's magic helps Granddad preserve everything that he and Bet had created together. The hardware store with its curmudgeon corner, the reindeer display that they'd worked on together with so much love, and most of all, the family that they had made and raised together. It seems that reindeer in Christmas movies have a knack for keeping families together. But that's not the limit of their magic, as we see in Flight of the Reindeer from 2000 starring Richard Thomas and Beau Bridges. This movie deals superficially with the clash between science and magic, but what it's really about is the true nature of faith, all kinds of faith. We first meet Jerry as a young boy with a clear love for animals.
There you go.
That one incident endows him with a keen interest in flight, and many years later, he's a well-established zoologist who specializes in studying flying squirrels. The success of his research means that he stands a good chance of getting tenure. And then, one day, he's given a special gift by a student.
My grandfather used to show it to me every Christmas when I was little. It's written by a man named Solomon Ondry. He's a very prominent scientist back in the 1800s.
And his fascination with reindeers is rekindled.
July 11, 160 degrees longitude. 100 or more reindeer streaking across the morning sky. The hair is similar in design to the feather of a common sparrow. That's how they fly!
In fact, he's so fascinated by what he reads that he decides to change the focus of his research.
I might be able to prove that reindeer have the ability to fly.
Are you out of your mind, Jerry? You've left me no choice but to withdraw my recommendation for tenure.
That causes an enormous rift between Jerry and his wife, Debbie.
It's not about the reindeer. You lied to me, Jerry. I'm just not so sure that I can trust you anymore.
And after she takes their daughter, Grace, and goes to stay with her mother, Jerry goes up to Alaska to look for flying reindeer. He's certain that if he can prove their existence, he'll regain the respect of his colleagues. But he runs into a bit of difficulty.
Me too. My fuel's low. I'm heading back in for the day. Over. A flying reindeer! I'm not crazy. Oh, no. Mayday!
And his crash takes him closer to his destination than he realizes.
Excuse me. Where's my plane?
You crashed. I saved your life. The boss wants to see you.
The boss?
Yeah, Saint Nick.
Santa Claus?
And there, Jerry finds the proof that he's been searching for.
Reindeer! Flying all over the place. I can't tell you how many years I've waited for this. I just have to learn as much as I can about this place, document a few things, and then I'll be out of your hair.
But Santa and his elves are not so crazy about the idea of being documented.
Let me get a shot of just the two of you, okay?
Forget about the camera, pal.
And Jerry finds out that he may not be able to get back home to share his research with anyone anyway.
Sooner or later, I'm gonna have to head back.
Oh, the only people who ever leave here are the helpers, the true believers.
Oh, I'm here. I've seen it. I'm a believer.
Sorry, Jerry. You are not a true believer.
Santa tries to get Jerry to understand that if you truly believe in something, you don't have to prove it. And the mere fact that Jerry wants to document the existence of flying reindeer and of Santa himself means that he has doubts. Back at home, Jerry's wife and daughter have been having a similar discussion.
How do you know he's real? You can't see him. You can't touch him. No one in my whole class believes in him.
You love Mommy and Daddy, right?
Yes, so?
Prove it. I don't see it and I can't touch it, so where is it?
Just is.
And sometimes you just have to have faith that what's in your heart.
Back at the North Pole, Jerry runs into the author of the book that brought him there, and he still doesn't get the difference between belief and scientific proof.
But don't you realize how famous you would have become if you'd gone back with all that information?
The rumors were correct. You are not a true believer.
Meanwhile, Jerry's wife has been notified that his plane went down.
They spent hours in very dangerous weather searching for your husband. There's no way he could survive. You're going to have to accept that your husband is probably not coming back.
But when she breaks the news to Grace, Grace is certain that he's still alive, and she throws her mother's own words back at her.
Sometimes you have to believe in what's in your heart, even though you can't see it with your eyes.
We heard him yell, Mayday, and then something about rain flying at him. The storm he was referring to was over here. We searched all through this weather pattern, and we didn't find anything.
And now Debbie understands what happened.
Not rain flying at him. Flying reindeer. His last location, the last place he was seen on the radar. That's where his plane went down.
Meanwhile, Jerry sneaks into the believer's room and bears witness to his daughter's faith in his own survival.
I know you're not the real Santa, but I know you can get a message to him.
Grace?
Daddy's okay. We have to go to Alaska and find him. You feel it. In here. Sometimes you have to believe in what's in your heart.
Jerry! I just thought I needed proof.
Your daughter didn't need proof, did she?
Up until this point, Jerry's been desperate to go home, but Nick and the elves have adamantly refused to let him go. But after this conversation, Nick has a change of heart.
Jerry, hop in. We'll give you a ride home.
There it is! We're running late! You'll have to jump! What?
And this is where Jerry takes his first leap of faith.
Get ready! Go! Merry Christmas! here?
Did you find what you were looking for?
Yes, I did. I found it. It took a while, but I found it.
And in the end, he's able to return to his research on flying squirrels and forget about trying to prove something that should have been left to fate.
The critical acclaim lavished on his definitive article on flying squirrels has taken this department to new heights.
I have a favorite quote from this movie, and I think it sums up its overall message.
Once a year, I ask people to believe in something that can't and shouldn't be proved.
It took a magical reindeer to bring this message to Jerry, but magical animals aren't the only way that magical realism shows up in Christmas movies. The agents of change can include angels, ghosts, and even magical Christmas presents. To take a closer look at how they work their magic, click on the end cards. And I really hope you have a wonderful Christmas and a peaceful year. See you soon.